Peace Kings and Peace Queens, back again with chapter 19 of the Isis Thesis, the edifice of Tahaka. New Kingdom evidence for the Lambda model. The excavation of the edifice of Tahaka began in 1907 to 1908 when G. Lagrange, under the direction of G. Maspero, cleared the monument at Karnak. By 1969, J. Lafray had cleared and studied the mysterious Nilometer. Finally, J. Leclerc, Richard A. Parker, and Jean-Claude Guyon collaborated to produce the 1979 work detailing the architecture of the edifice, the plates of scenes and texts, and the translations of the text reviewed for this thesis. Jean-Claude Guyon not only translated the text, but also provided an interpretation of the Egyptian ceremony performed in the ruined building of Tahaka at Karnak. He notes that the themes date at least until the New Kingdom. Actually, the evidence is that the theme date back to the Old Kingdom pyramid text. It is his interpretation, Goyon states, that the architectural features of the subterranean room suggest that the edifice is dedicated to Osiris, god of the underworld, or Duat. Guyon states that Osiris is only present episodically, whereas Amun, the god of origins, aka Atum, is the reigning cosmic god of Thebes, who is associated with the deceased king. Together, Amun and the deceased king, or Amun Osiris, find new creative power and are rejuvenated through a food offering and reborn as Ra. Guyon also notes that the edifice was consecrated to primeval Amun in his ancient aspect as the god DSR, or he whose arm is sublime. Amun, also called Amun, the primeval one of the two lands. Although the names of Egyptian gods may change, the significance remained the same. Amun Osiris, reborn as Ra in the edifice text, easily translates to Atum Osiris, reborn as Horus in the Amduat in earlier texts. The deceased sun god is Atum Osiris. Again, the sublime arm is that of the Lambda genome, activating the lytic lifestyle. Another interesting point that Guyon makes in that the number of all elements in Amun is 30, which is also the number of the two divine colleagues of Karnak. We can easily recognize the 30 elements of Amun as the 30 BP genetic location of land of prophets on the host chromosome. Further, Goyon states that at the northwest corner of the sacred lake is a monumental scarab, the representation of the sun coming out of the earth. As mentioned earlier, this northwest emergence of the sun from the earth matches the horn of the sky, or polar cusp, where observe holes at the cell poles in support of a transmembrane tunnel for released phage progeny. In the macrocosm, this polar cusp exit site would allow the sun god access to open field lines to interplanetary space. Taharqa was a 25th dynasty Nubian pharaoh whose edifice existed between the sacred lake of Karnak and the south enclosed wall of the Great Temple. The structure housed a series of subterranean rooms for a ceremony similar to the journey described in the Amduat, the Book of Gates. As this analysis shows, hieroglyphic translations and wall drawings depict Egyptian ideas dating to the pyramid text, showing that the funerary corpus as a whole is unified in its presentation of Egyptian scientific thought. The nilometer. Of special interest is what has been referred to as the nilometer, a long, narrow structure connecting a court leading to the east entrance of the edifices. The Egyptians measured the Nile River flood with a nilometer, which was a calibrated stairway that descended into the river. Pharaohs used the nilometers to forecast flood levels. Yet, Leclerc notes that the axis of the nilometer is askew, and that he rejects the name nilometer for the construction. Certainly, its location and design does not suggest a nilometer or calibrated stairway to measure flood levels, with its skewed placement connected to the two wall courts into the edifices and its architecture indicating a long tail-like passageway to a full-walked head structure. It reminds one of the head and tail morphology of phage lambda attached to a bacterium's double membrane. Thus, both the structure of the Egyptian pyramids and its tail-like causeway leading to a valley temple and the misnamed nilometer point to phage morphology. The subterranean journey through the edifice. In one scene on the exterior north wall, Taharqa wears the white crown and a long ceremonial tail, a blatant sign of phage morphology. Further, a second scene on the exterior north wall shows Taharqa preceded by the remains of two standards, suggesting promoter R and promoter L of phage lambda. Thoth is on Taharqa's left and Horus on his right, with the text indicating that he is king of Upper and Lower Egypt. In the third scene, Amun wearing a ceremonial tail approaches Taharqa. The scenes on the west wall of the edifice show Taharqa walking north, which is also the direction advised in the pyramid and coffin text. A shortened version of the Litany of the Sun decorates the west staircase leading to the antechamber west wall where the litany continues. The placement of the staircase and the antechamber mirror the western portion of the Earth's magnetosphere at the northern polar cusp, where the deceased enters the duat. at the staircase cusp / lamp pouring. Vestibule and chapel of Ra in Duat. The by soul of the king is welcome to the 75 caverns, and the Duat is open. This leads to the vestibule or chapel of the Heliopolis, with an entrance to the chapel of Ra in the Duat, where Taharka is depicted with the NMS headdress with two Ure, one wearing the white crown and the other wearing the red crown, signifying the function of the whole Eye of Horus. Taharka is dressed in a kilt with a triangular front and sports the ceremonial tail in the presence of 8 worshipping baboons. Both the triangular front and the tail suggest phage morphology. A second representation of Taharka shows his right hand over an offering table of meat, fowl. Representation of Taharka shows his right hand over an offering table of meat, fowl, and bread loaves. Read that again, sorry. At the foot of the table is an oblong vase with blooming lotus, the meta symbol for the new Horus lineage created from the heart of the Lambda genome. The text states that Taharka worships Ra and opens his spear and settles in the sky as Capri. Knowledge is stressed, for the text states that Taharka has knowledge of secret images, places, words, and the rebirths and transformations that take place in the flood. He is also aware of the mysterious door leading out of the Duat, or what may point to a transmembrane tunnel or Kerr-ring singularity. So the images and damaged translation support Taharka entering room D is representative of the king's entry into the Duat to be transformed. Recall that the flood results when the prophet is induced, rolling circle replication begins, and phage progeny are produced. What little time is left on the sunbox decorates the west wall of the room D, but the use of the parallel scene enables Goyon to identify the bark as a representation of the one described in the Book of the Night in the New Kingdom royal tombs. The bark is told by 4 jackals, as in the Book of Gates, suggesting the integrates activity. In the hymn to the setting sun, the remains of the text states that the jackals give assistance to overthrow a possible indicator of integrase cleavage activity related to the 7 BP migration necessary for the excision of the prophets. The encapsulated sun god wears a double crown, holds a scepter and the MB cross, and accompanies a crew of 8 on the way of the west. The text states that the western gods support Ra when he sets in the mountain of life, suggesting the western magnetospheric energy landscapes of the mountainous Duat. Plates 20 depicting the north wall of room D also shows the bark with the sun god and crew of 8. The sun god and 5 deities on board has ceremonial tails, as does the baboon in the bow, representative of Thoth. The rounded body of the baboon with its long tail seems a suitable choice for depicting Thoth, the sign of Palomares transcription, for it reminds one of modern drawings depicting a rounded transcribing Palomares with the tail like DNA strand of the gene. The rights of the gene. A scene carved on the door lintel leading to room E is damaged, but using